Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Films I Should Have Seen, the podcast in which we watch and discuss films that are considered popular or landmarks of cinema that we hadn't seen before. My name is Ross, with me and my co-host James.
Hello.
And Sean.
Hello.
Alright. Last time we watched Star Wars because Sean hadn't seen it. This time we're watching a film, we have watched a film that none of us had seen beforehand, and that's Akira from 1988, directed by...
Is it really 1988?
Yeah.
Wow.
1988, yeah. Quite a while ago. Directed by, I'm probably going to butcher his name here, Katsuhiro Otomo. James is raising his hand.
Yes, I am.
What would James like to say?
I just want to preface all of this about what we're all about to say with the film with, I think my view is going to be slightly warped on it because I was very annoyed at our food situation.
Yes.
It was playing on my mind the entire time we was watching it. I don't know if I can name said company, takeaway place.
Yeah, if you want to just explain, just name them.
Our pizza was 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's snowed a lot here today, and I understand that, but I ordered it through the app on my phone, and the entire time I was literally staring at my phone waiting for the glorious message to come through to say that your food's on its way, and it never arrived. It did arrive.
So it kind of affected the viewing of the film because we do usually wait for food to arrive before we start watching the film, so we can just sit there, watch the film in its entirety, not have to pause and have to wait. But it did get to a point where it was like, right, if we're waiting,
paused 3 times.
if we're waiting for the food, it's going to be about 9 o'clock or whatever before we actually started watching it, and would have been a 2-hour film. We wanted to get it watched so that we had time to record.
Yeah.
That aside...
Yes, that being said now...
Okay, so just to put it out there of why I wanted to do Akira, it wasn't planned as our second episode, but we had to move it forward because the film we did plan as our second episode was a 3-hour film.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had time for it, especially with the situation we had tonight. But Akira is a film that's been on my watch list for quite a while. I am quite a big fan of anime. I have been for quite a few years. James, you are sort of familiar with anime.
Yeah.
You have watched some.
I've watched some. I've been around people who are very interested in it, yourself and other friends. So I hear all these names of animes and how good they are, but I've never really watched them.
Yeah, whereas Sean, you're probably the one who's the least familiar.
Again, I lost my virginity tonight.
Oh.
I've never seen anime.
Is anime cherry?
Never seen any anime?
None of them, no.
I suppose, yeah, you would have been a bit... Well, not old. You would have been a bit older when, like, the whole... Even Pokemon rolled around.
Yeah, I suppose at your age, you'd have been like, for kids, Pokemon.
Which Pokemon, I think, is a lot of people's, like, my first anime. Whereas this is a bit different. Like, one of my facts that I've written down, because I come prepared this episode, is... where is it? So... Akira is like widely credited with breaking anime into mainstream Western audiences. So this was one of the first things to come over here, which did get like some kind of wide recognition. Like it wasn't just an obscure thing. So I think...
I was just going to say, I assume what we saw, well obviously it was the English version.
Yeah, so we watched the English.
It came out before, I assume, in Japanese.
Yes,
this film wasn't designed to be marketed to Western audience. It was just designed as a film, and someone thought, "Hey, I can market this over in the Western world."
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, that's fine.
With you saying that leads into one of my other facts. What I found was quite interesting is this was one of the first Japanese anime films to record the voices before the animation was done, which was commonplace in Western animation at the time. Like that is the standard. You do the recording and then animate to the voices.
Right.
But apparently before this, it happened the other way around in Japan, which I found quite interesting.
I bet that was difficult to act.
Yeah.
Having very specific mouth movements that you then had to try and...
But obviously that's the way that like the English dubs of anime are done. Obviously all the anime is done. They have to just do the voice work to the mouth movements. Let's get down to the main question there, since none of us had seen it before.
Yeah.
Did we enjoy it?
I think I'm still trying to process what the hell was actually going on.
So,
Or another question is, do you understand what happened?
no.
No.
Personally, no.
No.
I did not get what the message was trying to tell me. I felt like for a good 2/3 of the film, nothing was really happening with the story and nothing was being explained, which I'm fine with. Obviously, the end of the film should be where the resolution happens and everything kind of makes sense. And I kind of started to feel that way when the fight sequence happened between... I've completely forgotten the names already of the two main characters.
Kaneda and
Kaneda-
Tetsuo.
Tetsuo. Because at that point, for me, having again only watched very selected animes, that kind of felt like that's what animes do now. The fight sequence and the way all the debris was falling and
Canada.
Canada.
It's kind of like Canada,
Canada.
but a bit different.
Canada.
Canada. The way he was kind of jumping around all the debris, that kind of felt like the typical anime, like humor almost. I know humor's not the right word, but I don't know, just the very like jerky, exaggerated arm movements and things like that.
So you're like kind of akin to like what you see in like Dragon Ball Z action sequences where everybody can jump like 20 feet.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff like
at that point I was kind of like, oh, I'm getting it. And then a big white ball appeared and I completely lost it again.
Okay, yeah. I will say I agree. I don't know if it was just I wasn't focusing as much as I should have been, but for a lot of the point of like I kind of got the gist of what was going on, but I didn't fully understand things. As you're saying, towards the end, I felt like this film, the plot moved rather quickly near the beginning.
It was very fast paced.
But then towards the end, like I felt like I was like, okay, we're going into the final acts now, and then it was one of the points where we paused the film.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's still 50 minutes left. So I was like, I don't know what's going to happen
gonna
now,
go on.
because it feels like we're reaching a resolution. But you're saying you didn't like the film, Sean?
No, I didn't say I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
I just still don't know what the hell was going on.
I don't think we can really put an opinion on it because we don't... Not that we don't understand it, but I think someone who clearly is an expert on Akira... Not an expert on Akira, but who knows a lot more than us, if they were to explain it to us, I'm sure we will appreciate everything that was going on there. But,
Well,
it was very violent.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
way more gruesome than I expected it to be. Like, I knew it wasn't like a kid-friendly anime.
Pan away.
But there's bits like when a guy gets like his face shot off.
Yeah.
Or when they're attacking the 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I want to put this out there. 15-year-old girl, and we see her brutally attacked, like her face is swollen afterwards, and her shirt is ripped off.
That made me
full exposure.
raise my eyebrows a bit.
Yeah, so this was a bit more of like a graphic film than I expected it to be. But Akira is considered by many critics to be one of the greatest animated and sci-fi films of all time. Now I kind of get it.
Like, what, on the animated and sci-fi spectrum?
So I kind of get it, because this does seem like one of those, like, as we've all said, of like we're still kind of processing what's going on, and I think it, to me, it had that Blade Runner like kind of thing of like when you first finish watching it, you kind of like what? But I imagine like if you looked into it more, if you did then like if you maybe went back, knew some more of the themes and the subplots and stuff like that, it did kind of have that feel of, this did seem like it's trying to achieve more than other films probably were at the time, where it has a bit more of a deeper, more philosophical kind of presence in it.
And not necessarily the hand holding you through. It's as simple as boy loves girl, blah, blah, blah. It was quite ambiguous as to what was going on, because I honestly thought when Tetsuo, I was close. When he kind of put the red cape on and was kind of using his powers, my first thought was, is this going to go towards the military are trying to like rebreed this Akira godlike being so that they can do more tests, especially when we find out what Akira is inside the ball. That's what I thought it was going towards. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that, just generic bad people idea, but with the aim of them doing more tests means they get more technology and things like that. And then it just curveballed completely from what I was thinking, and I was like...
Well, it explains that Akira, they touched on it, that it was Akira was the cause of World War III, but they only touched on it, they didn't actually go deeper onto that, to what actually happened, which... baffled.
It kind of feels like it started ideas, and then that was like nothing, and it's like, it didn't fully make sense. Yeah.
Was Akira, I don't know, born to be this weapon, or... Yeah,
is Akira supposed to be a weapon, a new beginning, the universe? Is it supposed to be everything? Is it a boy with a weird haircut and a red cape?
Pretty cool ass cape.
The cape was okay. And there was just like weird things like that fight between... I'm not going to try to say the names again. I can't do it.
Akira and Kaneda.
No. Akira.
Kaneda
Tetsuo.
and Tetsuo.
Tetsuo. And then there's the girl. Was it just Kai?
K.
Like the other weird little girl was controlling her I'm like, why have you all of a sudden made like her the because it kind of did build up as well, like she was going to be the one to defeat Tetsuo.
Well, and it seems like they set up like she's... I don't know. It come across to me like she's going to be the savior.
Like I thought they was going to try and make out that she was Akira instead, not Tetsuo. It was. Yeah.
So the general consensus seems to be that we all kind of understood what was going on, but not fully.
Not quite followed it fully. Yeah.
Like, I can see Sean going through the Wikipedia plot on his phone, and I don't know if it's him just trying to figure out what's going on,
Is
or...
there some explanation to what's actually going on, but it's just basically a full story.
Yeah, and to say the iconic image as well of Akira, to me, is this red bike. It didn't really play much of a part, which in a way is good, because then it detracts from what the plot of the film is. But...
Oh, there you go. So Tetsuo triggers a big bang in an alternate universe.
Okay, yeah. So you do have the line of the scientist saying that looks like a creation of a universe, but then that's when I was like, I didn't really fully get what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't get that's what there was going towards, is that, oh hey, we've got this thing buried away that we've done tests on, and we managed to strip apart to essentially a couple of strands of DNA. Because, an all-knowing universal being just gets taken over by a bunch of humans who want to do tests on him. That part I'm struggling to...
Yeah. My concern is that someone who is very well-versed in this film is going to listen to this and think we're all a bunch of idiots.
Yeah,
but
well...
on another note, a fact that I came across which was quite interesting is the whole Olympic Stadium is quite a big setting in this film. So the movie takes place in 2019 and depicts near Tokyo creating a new Olympic stadium. Coincidentally, Tokyo is scheduled to host the 2020 Summer Olympics. So I thought that's quite a fun fact.
I wonder if that played in anyone's mind at all.
So we've got a year before World War III.
No, World War III happened before this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's already happened at this point.
I can't remember if did it give a date? I think did it give a date right at the beginning?
Yeah. So
for the World War III.
Okay, so the World War III takes place in 1988. So the year the film was created.
Yeah.
So, what about animation? Like, I personally loved the animation in this film.
It reminded me of 80s cartoons.
Yeah.
Your Extreme Ghostbusters, all them. It had that bike
showing his age
from Mars sort of.
Oh, Mike Myers from Mars was so good.
Yeah, I liked it. A bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, I think it's definitely if you're someone who has watched a lot of like anime, it has very typical like kind of anime movie animation. Like this film cost 1 billion yen, which roughly works out as $10 million, which for the time is quite a big budget for an animated film. but it does have that like kind of thing of everything has quite a lot of detail to it, except in like the action shots where everything's like very basic lines and colours. But I thought whenever we got wide shots of near Tokyo, like the city, it's all very beautifully done.
Yeah.
Practically like hand painted and stuff like that. So I really liked the animation in this film. Early on, like I think before Tetsuo becomes like full on like god mode.
Yeah.
I think him and, like, right at the beginning of the film, him and Canada have, like, a very similar character model. Like, I never didn't know who they were, but I thought they would have made them a bit more distinct at the beginning.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really liked the animation in this film. Like, I'm quite used to anime. Like you said, it reminds you a lot of 80s cartoons. Yeah. Any thoughts on the animation, James?
Well, to say it's come out 88, like you say, it reminds you of the 80s. Obviously, I think a strong phrase that might come up now is it's a product of its time. You know, you can tell it's an older anime where necessarily they wasn't as great as they are, especially now, at animation, even on a lower budget for like a TV series anime. Whereas you take something like Yu-Gi-Oh! And especially you go look at the first series of that, you can tell that they didn't necessarily have a lot of money for the animation because it was a lot of still images.
Yeah, and obviously TV generally has not like poorer quality animation, but animation that hasn't had enough time, hadn't had as much time put into it.
Yeah, but
I think that's what I like about it though. It's still got the rough edges.
Yeah,
and
the rough edges.
It's not clean cut. It's not 3D bubbles. It's all.
It is proper old school cell animation.
Yeah, what I really liked about it, because it kind of touched on the image, was the colour. I actually think the colour, again, even though because it was a product of its time, I thought the colour palette was cleverly chosen.
Yeah,
obviously to try and do this futuristic Neo Tokyo, as they called it, but usually for these futuristic things, because Blade Runner will have been out by this point in 88. I'm sure it will have been.
82, so Blade Runner was 6 years before this film.
Obviously, Blade Runner was one of the first to make the future look very dark and drab and rainy and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this, I think it did well at making it light and that actually there is hope in Tokyo, even though we just saw, as we do at the beginning of the film, a big bubble explode things.
Yeah, it kind of draws that line of like it's quite a bleak colour palette, but there is very vibrant colours.
Yeah, the red
very
of the
vibrant
bike.
colours are like quite violent though. Like a lot of like the colour does come from like he wears all red. His bike is a blood red. You get a lot of fire.
Yeah, a lot of fire. In the beginning part where that agent guy is taking, was he number 26?
Yes, number 26.
I can't look to he had another name beginning with T.
Yeah.
When he was taking him away and he was getting shot again, the prominent colour was the red, the blood coming out of him, but the light washed everything else out. Which, again, I liked that. I think the colour choice was really, really, really well done for this, and it holds up. It still holds up now. Because I did wonder when we first started, I was like, I wonder if there is a remaster of this. And again, you said all the big panning shots, you can tell it's a big old painting.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is updated ones where it's more of a CG animated thing.
Well, not so much animated, but where's I had it somewhere.
Wasn't there a re-release? Did I see?
There has been a re-release. The film was re-released in 2001 with a new voice dub and soundtrack, reportedly costing over $1 million. What else was I looking for there? At one point in the 1990s, Sony contemplated a live-action version of the film, but scrapped the idea when the project budget went north of $300 million, which $300 million for a film is a lot by today's standards. So in 1990, that would have been a bit insane.
They've had green screen, right? Just green screen all the things.
I think they would have green screen.
Been like
probably a lot of practical sets, Blade Runner style. That's probably what racked.
I assume that trying to even make that bike even so it could move. Oh, I don't know. I suppose that bike would, but it was
you could probably just like put like a body on an already existing bike. But another interesting fact is Kanye West, popular narcissist, is a huge fan of Akira, and apparently a lot of the scenes from this film were used in his music video for Stronger.
Can't say I've ever seen the music video for that song. So
it came up on interesting facts about Akira. So
moving on swiftly.
I thought the sound was very well done in this.
The bit where Tetsuo comes on, every time he's going to use his power, that deep. I've heard that before, or recently on something else.
Does Kanye use it?
Very similar.
Kanye might use it in the song.
I can't think where I've heard it, but that.
It's not going. I don't know, but it's not going to mean anything to either of you because I don't think it's a game either of you have played. But last year, a video game came out called Nier Automata, and the soundtrack in this reminded me a lot of the soundtrack in that game, and I do love the soundtrack in that game. But to the point of where it's quite synthetic. There's quite a lot of like electronic music in this.
See,
but
I thought
it gets to the point of where some of it's kind of operatic. In the when Tetsuo does go like full on powerful, and when he shows up, and you get these really big tones, and I did think the music was really good in this. Like you, I've just said that I did think there was going to be a bit more.
Yeah.
Like every now and again, the soundtrack does kind of kick in.
Yeah.
For a bit,
especially
like,
that. I think it was like a drum beat almost, but it kind of, I don't know if it was just two sticks hitting against something. It's kind of more when Canada. I'm trying really hard, I promise. Canada. It kind of seemed like when he was having more of his action-based bits, like there was a little drum beat kind of coming in. I quite liked that. What are you smirking at?
I'm just smirking. It's like you put a little Jamaican accent on when you said Canada.
Canada.
I don't know where that's coming from.
I'm very sorry if that's offended anyone. I feel bad now.
Nah, don't worry about it. Influence. Like I said, this is considered as one of the best animated films and one of the best sci-fi films. Obviously, it's a few decades old now. 1988. No, that's 3 decades old. Yeah, I can do math.
30 years, Ross.
30 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
30.
So, do we think that we've seen this film's influence in things in that time?
Well, I think I touched on it when I said about the fight sequence and the exaggerated movement. That's one of the first things I thought of was, that's what a lot of you get now. Again, I'll go to the one that we know quite well, Full Metal Alchemist. A lot of the motions that Tetsuo was doing did remind me of Ed Wood. And just the way he would be all angry and freak out, it did remind me of that. So I can see clearly what it has influenced, but what necessarily influenced Akira, I don't think anything did. I think that was its original. That's the origins of pretty much.
Yeah, well, obviously there will have been things that influenced Akira, but I was talking more about like it going forward, like what Akira has influenced. And I do think Akira probably falls into the same category the original Blade Runner does. I imagine this was a big influence for a lot of people doing sci-fi at the time, going for that darker take, that grittier take on what the future might be like. It's difficult to pinpoint at this because obviously this came out before we were born and when you were very young.
A wee little boy.
So we've grown up with all of the tropes that this and other films before it have probably inspired. Yeah. So it might be difficult for us to pinpoint what exactly this has like kind of influenced. But I do think you can see from watching this, I think it is obvious that this was clearly big at the time and going forwards probably inspired a lot.
I agree.
Good. Such as? Are you going to give me some examples, or
I don't have any examples.
Do I have to find out myself by watching more anime?
You should watch more anime, because there is really good. I do want to fit a few more anime films on our schedule, mainly because I do think it's ones that you two won't have ever watched, or Sean probably never even heard of. but I do think it is a medium that goes overlooked quite a lot by a general population. One of my favourite directors worked exclusively in anime, only ever made 4 films, so one of his I'm definitely putting on here, because it did go on to inspire things like Fight Club, Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan, all very big American films. So I do want to do more anime. Obviously, we'll go into it soon. We've got a few other things on the schedule. But before we wrap this episode up, anybody got any last thoughts?
What was one of your favourite scenes? Mine was very simple. When it was the riot scene.
Which
and
one?
they were firing the early on in the film.
Okay, yeah.
And they're firing out the smoke bombs. And
I know what
that
you mean.
teenager steps out of the smoke, and the cop just steps out with his gun and just plants him with a smoke bomb and fires him out the scene.
Yeah, point blank.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fires
I
into the
remember
crowd.
It was so
yeah.
simple, but there's a little bit of humour. But there was only those little trickles of humour.
Yeah.
The odd ones, such as towards the end when Canada's friend, I don't know his name, it didn't pop up.
The guy in the tie,
youngest kid, yeah. Like when his motorbike's on fire.
Yeah.
And he wants to charge
Yeah.
batteries back on Canada's bike, and he's like, your bike's still on fire. And he runs back and he starts putting it out again. There was only those little trickles of humour, so there wasn't a lot of humour throughout the film, but I think there was enough
Yeah.
in it.
Favourite scene? I didn't think about that. I think one that I really liked is when Tetsuo gets back to the city and he has put the cape on, and the military start attacking him. I think that's when it does start to go into the full-on over-the-top action, and just the cool visuals of them firing the missile at him and him exploding it mid-air in front of him, and you see the debris kind of go around him, and then he's enveloped in smoke. And then when it all clears, there's the blast radius right in front of him, and I just thought it's really cool because there's some really satisfying about people being so effortlessly badass, and I thought that was really cool. So and when it led into that action sequence between him and Kay, which I wish did last a bit longer, I thought that was pretty awesome. When you're seeing them trying to just block each other's attacks, so I did really like that bit.
No scenes jump out to me, but again, I think I'm still trying to wrap my head around the story. What one that did, I think it's just before the moment you're on about. I think the military. I don't know if it's from Tetsuo landing or something blowing up, attacking him. But is he stood in a wall of fire and he's all orange? And then when he walks out of it, he becomes grey.
Yeah,
I quite liked that. It was a nice image. You got the sense, obviously, that he was walking out and he kind of. I think that's almost a moment where he's let Akira take over a bit.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really effed about killing people and so on and so forth and what have you.
Alright. Cool. Well,
But I think he made a very good villain.
yes.
Very good villain.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the way it was going to go at the beginning.
Yeah, I honestly
thought that
thought
was
he
nice.
was going to die right at the beginning when he crashed into the boy.
I thought Canada was going to die, and I thought it was going to have Tetsuo be the main hero, because you had that bit at the beginning where he sat on Canada's bike.
Yeah,
and
faffing
Canada
with
makes
it,
the point of that. He's designed it specifically for him. I thought there was going to be something happens to him, he takes over as the hero, kind of thing. So I did like that he becomes the villain. But he's never fully villainized. At the end of it, it's more of kind of just trying to put him out of his misery and kind of stop.
Yeah, he becomes the scared child again, which Canada sort of how Canada made him feel in his childhood, and he went back to that stage, relying on Canada again.
Yeah, but I'm definitely after this. I'm gonna probably look into this film a bit more, learn a bit more about it. I love just kind of studying them. I did enjoy it on our first watching. Kind of wish I enjoyed it more, but I do think it is partly of I'm still a little confused as to what was going on.
And the 3 pauses for our pizza.
Yeah,
we can't name.
Hunger kind of obscures your opinion of films, but yeah, I'd say other than that. But let's wrap it up. So that was the second episode of films I should have seen. I think next time we will try and do what we was going to do as this episode, but we'll need to put a bit more time aside for that. Maybe order from elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Or bring our own food.
Yeah. Bring a pack.
You could make something for us. I'm looking at Sean here.
You could put a curry or something like
I don't like curry.
Alright. We'll reach the half an hour mark.
Yeah.
Now. So, alright. Until next time, we'll speak to you later.
Goodbye.
Farewell.